Hi y'all, in this video I'm going to show you how easy it is to cook Dino ribs on the smoker so that even a beginner can soon become an expert. Dino ribs are called by several different names. They can be beef plate ribs, short ribs, and so on. So we're going to smoke some of the greatest tasting ribs you will ever eat, and we're going to demonstrate several different ways of how to present them for your guests. Okay, our first step is we're going to open the ribs up, take them out of the package. So I'm just putting my trusty glove on, only putting one on it right now. All right, now that I got them out of the package, I want to show you some different things. One is we have a little bit of fat on the top. We're going to kind of trim a lot of this down. On the bottom side, we have a membrane, just like what we have on baby back ribs. On these, I'm going to leave the membrane on. Okay, I wanted to show you some of the marbling. You see all the marblings in there, all of it through here. So we have a good cut of meat, and that marbling will give us all kinds of flavor in there. Hi y'all, Don here with Southern Backyard Cooking. I hope you're enjoying this video. If you do, please make sure you subscribe. Give me that big thumbs up, and don't forget, ring that bell. Okay, the second step I'm going to do is I'm going to trim some of this fat off the top. And basically, I've got a real nice sharp bony knife, so I'm going to use it. And some of this is really hard. You can actually feel it, and it's tough. It's hard. But I want to get down almost to the meat. So I'm taking it off. Underneath here, there's some what we call silver skin. We want to make sure we take the silver skin off also. So I'm going to trim this baby up, and we'll get back in just a second. All right, I got all the excess fat and silver skin off. Now the one thing I made sure I did is I'm leaving this membrane on the bottom side. What that does when I'm cooking them, it'll keep these bones together and hold the whole piece of meat together versus it just kind of falling apart, especially as it gets close to being done. Okay, so far with trimming the meat and everything, realistically, that's the hardest part of everything we're going to do in cooking these short ribs. So I'm going to use some French's mustard for my next step. And what I'm going to do, I want to have something on here that will allow my rub to stay on. So all I'm going to do is kind of slather it on. Make sure I get the sides. And once I put my rub on this side, then I'll also flip it over and put it on the other side. Now I put my rub on. I want my rub to be generously on here. The reason I have it in this pan more so than anything is it catches all the excess that kind of comes out. Now I don't want, even though it's called a rub, I don't want to rub it in, but I do want to pat it into it. I want to make sure that I get my edges, my sides as well, and the back side. What this mustard does for me more than anything is it allows all my rub to adhere. All right, so I've got all that ready. Now the next thing I'm going to do is, before I put it on the smoker, is I want it to let it sit for about 15 to 20 minutes. That's why I have not turned on my smoker as of yet. So I'm going to turn my smoker on. All right, y'all, my next step is to actually put it on the smoker. Smoker's now up to 250 degrees. It's kind of stabilized. It's been about 15-20 minutes. And as you can see, I don't have a ton of that white grayish smoke coming out. So I am going to cook mine on my middle rack here. When I put it on here, I want to put bone side down. I want to put my thick part toward the hotter area of my smoker, and this is the area that's hottest in my smoker. I'm gonna close it up and we're gonna let it go. Somewhere around 3 hours, I will come out and check it and spritz. I'll probably do that again at around 5 hours. All right, y'all, it's been 3 hours, so I'm gonna check out the ribs and see what they look like. All right, so there's our ribs right now. They're looking pretty good, drying out a little bit, but the bones are starting to separate somewhat, which is all good. I'm gonna spritz them and put them back on for another couple hours. Okay, I'm gonna now spritz them. All right, checking out, look at that. Got a real nice bark on that. The bones are starting to separate really well. Gonna check my temperature. What I'm basically doing is I want to get to about 170 or so. So I'm about 175, 170 in that area. So it's time for me to wrap this puppy. All right, so now I'm gonna get ready to wrap this. My paper is pretty brittle, so what I'm doing is I'm spraying a little bit of my spritz right on the paper. It makes it a lot more pliable. I've just got my spatula. I'm going to just take them out and I'm going to put them in this area right here. Boy, those look good. So I'm just going to flip them over and I'm going to wrap them pretty tight. Under and under and right back into the smoker. So I'm gonna check them another 2.5 hours. When I push my probe in there, I want it to be real tender and go right in. Temperature wise, it should be around 205 to 210. All right, y'all, it's been most of the day. I think we're about 9.5 hours in now. So I'm gonna temp probe it. And basically what I'm looking for is, does it go in very easy? And then when I look at the temperature, I should be around, hopefully around 210 degrees. So let's take a look. So when I talk about temp probe, so I wanna go in, and if it just slides in like it's doing here, real easy, it's going right through. And I'm hitting right at 210 degrees. So this is gonna be good. So I wanna take it out and I wanna let it rest. Okay, so my preferred method to let it rest is take it out, and I like to wrap it in a towel and then put it in my ice chest. Now I want this to rest half an hour to an hour, but it could rest until I'm ready to eat. A lot of times I cook these early where we have a late dinner, and that way it may sit in the cooler for 2 or 3 hours and they'll still be nice and juicy and hot. So let's pull them out, let's wrap them up. So all I'm gonna do is wrap them up. I don't want to turn them over. And the reason I don't is because I've poked holes in this and I don't want any of the juices to come out. So I've got it all wrapped. Now I'm just going to stick it in my ice chest and let it sit for hopefully half an hour, 45 minutes minimum. And then we'll come out and cut them and let you take a look at them. All right, y'all, I've pulled my ribs out. I'm going to unwrap them. You see we got a lot of juice on the paper itself. They are still quite hot. Pick them up a little bit with this. And you can see how the bones are pulled away. It's nice and compact and shrunk up this way, which is what it's supposed to do. All right, so what I'm gonna do, the best way to kind of showcase is just take, and you can see where the bones are going, and just take and cut it right down in between the bones. You can see it is just sliding right off. And you see how juicy that is. Got a good smoke ring. So now when I go to place them, the best thing to do is kind of place them like this at an angle to where they kind of face right at the people that you're going to serve to. Generally, when we're talking about these big bones, you're only going to serve one of these per person. This is a lot of meat. You can see how juicy it is. The juice is actually starting to come out really well there. The other thing we can do is it's real easy just to pull those bones out. And from there we can easily just cut this. You see how that looks? Boy, that's good. Let's cut a little sliver off and let's take a taste of it. Oh man. Like I said, some of the best ribs you'll ever eat. I want to thank everybody for watching this video. The best tip I can have for smoking is watch my video about how to avoid the mistakes on a pellet grill. And until next time, guys, y'all enjoy.